As I went around in a daze, stacking boxes of tins in the factory, it struck that maybe I was mad. Agreeing to marry a man I'd hardly knew wasn't what a woman in her right mind would do. I'd been thinking this over for the past few weeks. By becoming James's wife, I'd never return to live in Italy again, or be with my family. I would become a British citizen. Was I ready to give up my Italian roots? No more hot summers or chats with the girls? No more speaking Italian? The one good thing was that I'd be free to do as I pleased, without worrying about what neighbors would think. Pa always made sure to remind the family of that, drum into us that walls had ears and the neighbors too. Was I ready to stay in England forever, though? Emigration meant a one-way ticket, leaving your loved ones, or not so loved in some cases. The space I had occupied in my family's life would disappear, leaving an empty hole. Although I'd return to visit, things would never be the same. People changed. I know I had. I'd become a new person in a new world, and all because of my brother's behavior. Sought independence and had found it. That side of things I didn't regret. But everything had a price. Freedom had cost me leaving my country and my family. James was offering me a new life, like a precious gift. I only hoped that particular gift came with pretty ribbons, not some tacky fraying string. Florinda called me brave, and maybe I was. It took an adventurous person to start fresh and seize this new life. I was young, determined, and strong. I'd make it. The factory whistle blew, and I leapt off my stool. James would be waiting for me outside. He'd been staying in a hotel nearby. Had been there for a week so that we could meet up every evening when I knocked off of work. I liked this routine. Something to look forward to after a hard day packing boxes. I rushed out to the gates and into his arms. He always waited in the same place. If I hadn't known any better, I'd swear he spent the whole day there, wedged between the telephone kiosk and the bright red letterbox. His warm arm squeezed me tight, and I became confident enough to ask the question that had been running through my mind for the past few hours. You parents know for me? More or less. How should I interpret that? Did it mean more rather than less? I loosened my grip and stared up at him. They say what? I'm not bothered what they say. This is my life, and I get to choose who I marry and live with. They agree? James gave me a peck on the nose. We're not in Italy, Bianca. People are free to do what they want here. I chewed the inside of my cheek. What if his parents hated foreigners? Would they have wished an English wife for their son? And what if James's father was like Papa and didn't agree to the marriage? Would he be exiled like Vittorio? Things will be fine, my love. We strolled to the park and sat on a bench. The wedding date has been set, he said, holding my hand and rubbing his thumb over my knuckles. When? 12th of December. A warm twinkle sparkled in his eye, and I swallowed down my disappointment. I wanted a summer wedding with an outdoor reception. A beautiful white organza dress embroidered with pearls. Beautiful high-heeled sink shoes edged with lace. A lovely bouquet of orange blossoms and white freesias. Maybe ivy weaving its way through their seams. Stems, good grief, I can read. Instead, I'd have to wear a coat over my wedding dress or a heavy shawl to keep me warm, not to mention boots if it snowed. What about my bridesmaids? Couldn't see them running around in short-sleeve gowns. A lump formed in the back of my throat. Why not in summer? I asked. James turned to me. It's killing me, being separated from you. I want us to be together. Now. And I'm going to be honest with you because I don't want any secrets between us. I can't afford to do all the traveling back and forth. Hey, Rampage, what's up? Afford? I don't have a lot of money. My engagement ring stared up at me and tears escaped from my eyes. Were they rolling down my cheeks because James had sacrificed a huge amount of money to buy this rock staring back at me, or because I wouldn't have a summer wedding? Don't cry, Bianca, he said, wiping my tears with his thumb. We won't always struggle, I promise you. Worry etched over his features. Was I being selfish? This man loved me and did everything possible to please me, and I acted like a spoiled child. I disappointed him, and he didn't deserve that. I reached out and cupped his face with my hands. We would have our December wedding, and I hoped it would be a simple one in the end. No need for James to spend a lot on a huge reception. We needed the money for our future. Kissing him full on the lips, I made 2 promises to myself. First, one day we'd be rich. Rich enough to have anything we wanted, when we wanted. The second, I'd never show any negative emotions again. Good luck with both of those promises. That's all I gotta say. I loved this man, and I was prepared to stick by him no matter what. Wasn't for richer or poorer one of the marriage vows? In my book of rules, there wouldn't be for poorer. I'd see to that. As soon as we married and were living in London, I'd contact the fashion boutiques. In the right place, and with my better knowledge of English, I'd find a job. And I would. I had to. The following Saturday, James came for me at the factory and delighted me with a trip to London. Just the 2 of us. I'd been waiting for this opportunity. Without my chaperones, I'd visit the fashion boutiques. We wandered hand in hand down Carnaby Street, London's fashion haven, and wow, I didn't know where to look first. Shop windows shouted out with fashion, pulling me to them like a magnet. One boutique drew my attention, though. It stood out by its cherry red facade, a color I liked. The windows displayed 2 mannequins with elegant dresses, no more. Nothing fancy, nothing over the top. I'd always been told that less was a sign of quality. Overdoing things just showed a lack of class and caused confusion. James, what is writing on the paper in this window? I asked, pointing to what I suppose was a job advertisement. It's an ad for a dress designer. My hands turned clammy. You think is maybe good for me? Why not? You want to step inside and ask. Maybe you ask. My English is not so good. James pushed open the door and we stepped inside. The jingling of the door announced our arrival. The interior oozed elegance and class. Its tall walls displayed black and white designs framed in the same red as the building's facade. 2 elegant velvet sofas faced each other. A low, oval table laden with fashion magazines separated them. A young woman dressed in a black suit came to greet us. Can I help you? James cleared his throat. Yes, My fiancée would like to apply for the job displayed in the shop window. Ah, yes, the ad. She hurried to remove it. I'm afraid I forgot to take it down. Someone was hired earlier this morning. James gazed down at me. Sorry, love. The job is taken. My heart sunk. It's no matter. I lied and we turned to leave. Excuse me, came a voice from behind us. A middle-aged man with thick salt and pepper hair and extremely well dressed in a smart, well-fitted black suit approached us. With his good looks and confident stance, he could have been a male model. My name is Roger Eastgrove. He held out a hand, and James shook it. I'm the manager, and I must say that your wife is wearing a lovely dress. Do you mind if I ask where she bought it? I tugged on James's hand. What he say? I whispered. I not understand everything. He speak too quickly, but he say my dress. He wants to know in which shop you bought it. James articulated each word using simple language. I make my dress. I know, love. James turned to the man and spoke slowly, enabling me to follow the conversation. This is my wife-to-be, he began. She's Italian, and the dress is one of her creations. The man raised an eyebrow. It's fabulous. He looked me up and down and then pulled out a business card. Like my assistant said, we've just hired someone, but maybe in the future, if your fiancée is still looking for work, she can contact me here. James took the business card and handed it to me. The door opened and two ladies entered. Well, if you'll excuse me, the manager said, extending his hand to me, I have to organize a couple of fittings. We stepped out of the shop and into the bustling street. I fondled the card in my hand. It was as elegant as the boutique. You let me keep the card? I asked, worried that, like Papa, he would refuse to let me have the contact with strangers. Of course. After the wedding, once we're settled in London, if you still want to try your luck, you can contact him. Of course, I want. I threw my arms around him. James held me close, as I reveled in his warmth. I had a man who loved me and who'd agreed for me to have a career. What more could I ask for? My future was looking up. Mr. Thomas, thank you for the lurk, sir. Hope you're doing all right. There's a quick break in the story. It's like we've gone back to her workplace. We've set the wedding date, I said, avoiding Florinda's gaze. She'd be disappointed when I told her. Knowing you've chosen a June or August wedding? I examined the linoleum on the floor. December. What? Florinda came to stand in front of me, scrutinizing me through narrowed eyes. Why so quick? Have you been up to no good? I pushed her away with both hands. James is a gentleman, and you know it. So why so quick? Why not wait for the summer or next spring even? I stared at my sister's frustrated face. James wants us to be together as soon as possible. He hates the long waits and painful separations every time he has to return to London. And so do I. This has been a strange relationship from the beginning. Florinda cocked her head to one side and sighed. You must be madly in love with the man. You met in April, got engaged in May, and now you're to be married in December. Florinda was right. I was in love with James and ready to take the risk. In a way, I envy you, Florinda said, gazing out of the window. You've met the man of your life. You'll become his wife. And I'll lose my sister. I'll be here on my own with no more family. You can... My sister turned in a flash and cut me off. And don't say I can go back to Italy, because that is not going to happen. That's not what I was going to say, I whispered. You can always come and stay with us. Florinda slumped on the bed, shoulders sagging, lips quivering. I'm really delighted for you, Bianca. I mean it. I sat next to my sister and hugged her close. No matter what I said, nothing would ease her pain. My one and only sister had followed me to England, had given up her family and country to be with me, and I would abandon her again. Only this time she couldn't follow. She'd remain here and continued working in the factory until... Until what? I rocked her in my arms, and Florinda clung to me like a drowning outcast, clasping her life. I let her. If holding on to me brought her a bit of comfort, who was I to complain? When her sobs finally subsided, I pulled a stray hair away from her face and stared deep into her eyes. One day, you'll find the love of your life too, and we'll both be happy.